All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth and rule well. And I want to say Shalom to the Akim and Akwat out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. All right, so today's topic, we're going to be going in on food laws, all right, dietary law. All right, and some of the confusion that's been going around. All right, I eventually wanted to get around to this. The Spirit got on me today to do it. Okay, so in short, I've been hearing people talk about, if we're allowed to eat meat or not. All right, which is old news. All right, it's old news. If you don't know by now that you can eat meat, then you haven't been studying. All right, because there's multiple instances in the Bible where meat was eaten. All right, so before we go in and grab some examples of meat being eaten in the Bible, all right, I just wanted to touch on Leviticus Chapter 11, all right, which you should know is where the dietary laws, all right, are listed. So if you go to Leviticus Chapter 11 and you read chapter 2, or not chapter 2, Leviticus Chapter 11 and verse 2, all right, I'll just start from 1, and it reads, and the Lord spoke unto Moses and Aaron, saying unto them, all right, now focus on this, on verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying that these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. All right, so it says these are the beasts which ye shall eat, okay, which is clearly saying that beasts are allowed to be eaten. All right, so let's just go into it. What are beasts? All right. Beast, an animal, especially a large or dangerous four-footed one. All right. A domestic animal, especially a bovine farm animal. All right. And if you don't know what bovine is speaking of a cow. All right. If you look up bovine. All right. That's a bovine, all right? It says it, bovines comprise a diverse group of 10 genera of medium to large size ungulates, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, including domestic cattle, bison, African buffalo, water buffaloes, and the four-horned and spiral-horned antelopes. And if I'm not incorrect, all right, all those animals would be considered clean animals. I know you can have a cow, of course, beef, and then bison, buffalo, water buffalo, all right, and antelopes, all right. Now, don't quote me on that. You got to go and make sure that they're, look at their hooves, okay, and judge it from that, all right. But I'm pretty sure all those animals are clean, all right. But again, don't quote me on that, all right. You should always do your own research into all these animals, all right, all these different animals. If it's not directly listed in the Bible, you should go and look, all right. In verse 3, we'll show how you do that, all right. In verse 3, it reads, whatsoever, we'll start from 2 again, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat amongst all the beasts that are on the earth. Okay, so you can eat meat. Verse 3, whatsoever parteth the hoof and is cloven-footed and cheweth the cud amongst the beasts, that shall ye eat. Okay, so let's look up cloven-footed. All right, cloven hoof. All right. So cloven hoof, as you can see, let's see if I can get a. All right, here's some examples, all right, of cloven and not cloven. All right, so here's a lion, all right. It's not split down the middle. You can't have that, obviously. All right, cats, leopards, tigers, you can't eat any of those. You can't have crocodiles, can't have frogs, all right. You can't have boar because it's specifically listed that, swine is not to be eaten, all right. As you can see, elk is split right down the middle. Okay, as you can see. All right. Giraffe is not. Horse does not. It splits halfway down, but it doesn't go all the way through. All right, and of course, lizards and turtles, you can't eat those either. All right. So, as you can see, this says it's a goat. All right. As you can see, there's a split all the way down the middle. All right, and this over here is a giraffe. All right, and it's only split in the front. All right, let's see if we can get better picture of a. Let's just look up a deer foot. All right. All right, there we go. As you can see, it's split all the way down. All right. So that's how you can tell. All right. It says in verse 4. In verse 4, nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean to you. All right. And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean to you. And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but is divided not the hoof, he is unclean to you. All right. And the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you. All right. So you can't. It's not just looking at the foot. All right. You gotta look into do they eat cud? All right. Do they have cloven hoof? All right. Or if you're talking about fish, all right, do they have scales? All right. Let's see. Here we are. Yeah, in verse 10, and all. Verse 9, Slakia. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever hath fins and scales in the water, in the seas and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. Verse 10, and all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the river, and all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. Okay? So it's simple as that. All right, so you really got to go into these things and look it up for yourself. All right, there's multiple instances where it's speaking of animals that you can eat and animals that you can't eat. So to say that you can't eat any animals at all right, is just ignorant. All right, now if that's something you want to do and you just don't want to eat meat, you can go ahead and do that. But as we'll get to later, all right, when Passover comes, that's something you're going to have to do. You're going to have to eat meat. All right, so as it says, like I said, you just got to go in and look at these things, all right? And for fish, for example, you can eat stuff like trout, all right? And, you can eat trout, because it has scales. If you just look up trout scales, all right? As you can see, they have scales. All right. Now you got these people that'll say, tuna, you can't. That tuna's unclean. But tuna does have scales. Actually, if you looked at it, you wouldn't think that it does. All right, because you can't see them, but they have. They do actually have scales. If you look up tuna and then you go to scales. You can see. You can see that they actually do have scales. All right. Just to see. Tuna, for example, have very few scales, yet are nevertheless considered a kosher fish. All right. And it says right here, it says tunas have a few small visible scales on the sides of their head and have rudimentary, undeveloped scales embedded under the surface of their skin. All right, and the Bible didn't say how many scales they have to have. All right, if they have to be big scales, if they have to be small scales. All right, if they have to be purple scales. All right, if the scales have to look like this. All right, it just says that they have to have scales. All right, so you deep-minded Israelites saying that tuna is unclean. Tuna is clean. It has scales. All right, just debunked you in a matter of a few seconds. All right, all you have to do is look up, does tuna have scales? And it does, so tuna is clean. All right, but things that aren't clean are things like catfish. All right, catfish is unclean because it has no scales at all. All right. I don't know why you'd want to eat one of these ugly bastards anyway. all right? But if you look up catfish scales, all right, first thing that comes up, catfish do not have scales, all right? So it's as simple as that, all right? And so on and so forth with oysters and eels and clams and shrimps and octopus and squid, all right? And, you know, all those other abominable animals, all right? You can't have any of those things, all right? Simple as that. So we got that out of the way, all right? Shouldn't have you know, needed that, but we did, you know, just in case. So those are the things you can and can't eat, all right? Some of the things are, again, if you're more curious on what you can and can't eat, all right, you need to do your own work on that, all right? Or there's several lessons that GMS is putting out about, you know, clean and unclean animals, all right? So, you know, again, if you need to know more, just go to Leviticus Chapter 11. And just read on down, all right? It'll tell you. It goes into several different type of animals, all right, of what you can and what you can't eat, all right? Now going and moving forward, all right, I wanted to touch on this this topic that I heard of, and I think it was Elder Menatazak's lesson, all right? The elder out in South Carolina, all right? Now, if I remember correctly, there was someone that said that you can't, there was, you know, someone going all in about how you can't eat meat, and then they even brought up mushrooms, okay, that you can't eat mushrooms, all right? And I don't know where exactly that they got this from, all right, because if you go to KJV, all right, King James Version, and you look up mushrooms, all right, and you click on this, it says no direct matches for your keywords, all right? So if you look up fungus, it brings up mold, and nothing comes up, all right? Now it speaks of defiling molds, all right? But that's speaking of something completely different, and that's like a non-edible mold, all right? All right, that's speaking of like mold in houses, all right? Like black mold and stuff like that, all right? Or you know, it could be speaking of you know, a different situation, all right? All right, speaking on topics like that. Okay, but it's not speaking of edible mushrooms, all right? It's speaking of a different type of fungus, like mold, all right, or pestilence, all right, or something along those lines, all right? Not edible mushrooms, all right? Like this, it's not speaking of these type of mushrooms, all right? Obviously, you can't eat these. These are magic mushrooms, all right? The hallucinogenic ones, all right? Well, a type of them, all right? And those will just make you sick as hell, all right, and trip out. No, you can't eat those, all right? But these type of mushrooms, all right, like you got shiitake mushrooms, all right, I don't know, all the other types of mushrooms, all right, you got oyster mushrooms and stuff like that. You can have those despite the names being oysters, all right? All these type of mushrooms, all right, being that they're not poisonous, all right, or cause hallucinations, you can eat them, all right? And of course, it's just showing all the hallucinogenic mushrooms. But like ones like these, all right, you can eat those. They're perfectly fine, all right? I haven't heard any other brother or apostle say that you can't eat mushrooms, all right? So I don't know where this came from. But then they said that what they said was that, if I remember correctly, they said you can eat mushrooms. So yeah, Salakia, what I said was a little bit wrong. They said you can eat mushrooms, but you can't eat fungus or fungi, all right, which doesn't make sense, because if you look up mushroom, it tells you right there that it's a fungus, all right? And going in further on fungus, all right, if you look up fungus, it says, is there any, fungus, a fungus, fungi, or funguses, is any member of the group of eukaryotic organisms that include microorganisms such as yeast, and molds, as well as the more familiar mushrooms. These organisms are classified as a kingdom. All right, so hard stop right there. All right, it says such as yeast and molds. All right, so obviously you don't want to be eating mold. All right, mold's not something you want to eat, so throw that one out. All right, but mushrooms and yeasts. All right, so now in the Bible there are several accounts of people eating bread. All right, and breaking bread. Okay, so by that definition, he said we can have mushrooms, but we can't have fungus or fungi. All right, or toadstools. All right, which toadstools are just poisonous anyway. All right, poisonous mushrooms, of course you wouldn't eat those. All right, but yeast. All right, if we weren't allowed to eat fungus, all right, we couldn't have bread. All right, and we already know that that's not true. All right, because you're allowed to eat bread, obviously. All right, so that's the basic gist of it. Now I want to grab some scriptures. All right, about instances of meat being ate throughout the Bible. All right, and even Yahushua himself. All right, and Yahushua himself. All right, at least eating meat. All right, now we'll actually grab this first. This is Exodus 12:5 through 12:8. All right, and this is speaking of the Passover. All right, so if you choose not to eat meat when the Passover comes, you do have to participate in eating meat when that comes. All right, there's no exceptions. All right, you can't get impossible lamb. All right, or however they called it, impossible burgers. All right, you can't get impossible lamb. All right, you do have to eat lamb. All right, so this is Exodus chapter 12 verse 5, and it reads, "Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. And ye shall keep it unto the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of it of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and the upper doorpost of the houses, wherein they shall eat it." Wherein they shall eat it. Okay. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread. Oh, there we go, bread. All right. Well, it's unleavened, all right, so it wouldn't have yeast during that, of course, during the Passover. You're not allowed to have leavened bread, all right, but when it's not the Passover, you can, all right. So, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Okay, so there you go. During the Passover, lamb is eaten, all right. So if you are a vegan or a vegetarian, all right, if the Passover comes, you do have to eat lamb, all right, but other than that, you can carry on and not have to eat meat like that, all right, but there isn't an exception for the Passover, all right, you got to eat that lamb, all right. Now, this is, let's see, I believe, bear with me a moment. I don't think this one has a red letter, all right, but I believe this instance right here in Luke 24, all right, is speaking of Yahushai. Let me check. 40. I might be incorrect, I believe. Bear with me just a moment. There we are. Yeah, yep. Okay. So I guess it just doesn't show the red letter when it's clicked on. That's strange. All right. So as you can see in verse 41, when it says, "Have ye here any meat?" All right, it's in red, which means it's Yahushai speaking. Okay. So, I guess it's when you have it in this configuration, it just doesn't come up for some reason. All right. But anyway, so lucky about that. This is Luke 24:40 from the top. It says, "And when he had thus spoken, he showed them his hands and his feet. And why they believed not for joy and wondered, he said unto them, Have ye here any meat?" So this is Yahushai speaking, all right? He asked, "Do you have any meat?" And they gave him a piece of broiled fish and of a honeycomb. And he took it and he did eat before them. All right, so here's an account of Yahushai eating fish, all right, which would be considered meat. All right, so that's an account of Yahushua eating meat, which would mean that you can eat meat. All right, simple as that. And over here, this is Mark 6:41. All right, from the top. "And when he had taken the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, he looked up to heaven and blessed and brake the loaves and gave them to his disciples to set before them. And the 2 fishes divided he among them all. And they did all eat and were filled." All right, so here's another account, all right, of them eating meat. Okay, so this whole "you're not allowed to eat meat" argument, all right, is I don't know where you guys are trying to fight this, all right? If you don't want to eat meat, don't eat the meat, all right? But when it comes to Passover, you're going to have to eat the meat, all right? But don't tell other people that they can't eat meat, all right, according to the Bible, because that's just telling lies at that point, all right? Now, this is John 21:12, all right? And it reads, "Yahushua said unto them, Come and dine, and none of the disciples durst ask him, Who art thou?" knowing that it was the Lord. "Yahushua then cometh and taketh bread and giveth them, and fish likewise." All right. So as you can see, there are accounts of Yahushua and his disciples, all right, eating meat. Okay, and that there's no accounts of not being able to eat mushrooms. All right, that at least that I could find. All right, in the Bible. Okay. So all these, I don't know where you're getting these doctrines from, all right? If there's these wacky camps, all right, that are messing your mind up, all right, but that's not true. You can eat meat, all right, and you can eat mushrooms, all right, like regular mushrooms, not magic mushrooms, all right, because Jake's always trying to get high some way, all right, not much magic mushrooms, regular cooking mushrooms that you use for food, all right, for flavor, for taste. Those mushrooms are fine. All right, fish, you can eat fish, all right, as long as it has scales, and, you can eat meat as long as it's, from a clean animal, all right? So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Short little lesson, I just wanted to go in on that, all right? So with that, I'm going to close out. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, that great millstone that taught me this truth and rule well. Shalom to Akim and Akwath out there pursuing this truth diligently. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until the next one, Lord willing, Shalom.